It is Monday, the 13th day of February, 2012. We're going to be live here for the next 3 hours. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, the coroner is now confirming she died from prescription drugs, Whitney Houston. She did not die from going underwater in the bathtub. She did not drown. And she did not die from illegal drugs. She died from legal prescription drugs, just like Marilyn Monroe, just like Elvis, and just like countless other millions of people. Conservatively, over 150,000 people die a year just from prescription drugs that are based in opiates. And then, of course, you've got well over 100,000 other deaths on top of that. Some years it's 300,000+ total, where people die from different types of drug interaction. Paul Watson has an article up at Infowars.com with the headline that the establishment media is hiding the fact that Whitney Houston died from prescription drugs. Just like it's always buried in the news that every single school shooter we've seen, it always comes out later in the trials or the investigation, but never in the first week, that all of them that I've ever seen have been on Ritalin, Prozac, or mixtures of them. And I shot a video yesterday morning when it came out that the police reported there was a whole bunch of prescription drugs, including Xanax, that she was mixing. I shot a video that's gone viral, the secret of Whitney Houston's death discovered. And the reason I'm beginning the broadcast with this today is because we can save lives. We can grab victory from the jaws of defeat with her tragic death. She was an unrivaled talent. I personally have never really been into that genre of music. But I actually did like her songs, the ones that she did in the 80s and early 90s before she became addicted to a cocktail of different illegal and legal drugs and alcohol and destroyed herself with her boyfriend. But we need to point out that there's never been one death from marijuana. You can pull that up. The government admits that. I don't smoke marijuana. I've smoked it before. I've experimented. I don't particularly like it. So I'm not saying decriminalize marijuana because I'm a pothead. I actually know a lot of folks that have had their motivation destroyed by marijuana. Some people that are already aggressive and type A personalities have been empowered by marijuana. They say it helps them not become angry. It helps takes the edge off. They kind of self-medicate like some people do with a glass of wine. I think that's fine. But for a lot of people, it does turn people into zombies. I've seen marijuana take people that were just moderate students, not too aggressive, not too ambitious, but had futures. And I've seen it destroy them, turn them into zombies. And the whole marijuana worship crowd's going to get mad at me there. Look, I'm for decriminalization. It has thousands of known medical uses. It's a magic herb given to us by God. I'm for total decriminalization. But I'm not going to sit there and say it isn't a double-edged sword. Now, that said, cops pull me over and ask if there's drugs in my car. I use no illegal drugs. And the only legal drugs I use now are caffeine, and I guess I take Rebound, and it's got some ginseng in it. And occasionally I do have a glass of red wine still if I'm eating a big juicy steak or out having Italian food. I'm on a diet, so I'm not out eating that very often. The point is that they put out chemicals into the society, legal and illegal, that they know the human body wants, and different types of people are predisposed chemically towards liking different types of drugs. And when you use it, they arrest you and take you to a prison. And has it cut back on drug use? No, we have the highest per capita. Look it up. We're the most obese, the most unhealthy, the most dumbed down, and we use more drugs than any other country, not just per capita, but period. I've seen the graphs. Some graphs have the United States using over 1/3 of illegal drugs. In fact, just type in, U.S. uses most illegal drugs in the world. U.S. drinks more alcohol. Yeah, there it is. U.S. leads the world in illegal drug use, CBS News. We also lead the world in alcohol. We lead the world in cancer, diabetes, neurological disorders, in divorce. We are a cursed, blighted nation. We've come from being the greatest nation with the highest IQ, the highest test scores, the most inventions, the most wealth, the most free, the most aggressive, to the most pathetic. And I'm not saying all this because, oh, look, America's bad, ha, ha, ha. I'm like, look at this. Let's clean ourselves up. Again, there was prohibition in the 1920s for 9 years, and alcohol use more than tripled. Alcohol poisoning, some statistics are 5 times higher than it was. Crime exploded in some areas more than 20 times. Go look it up. You can just type in whatever I say and you'll get government documents, congressional studies, news. Crime exploded during Prohibition. In fact, guys, you just showed them CBS. Type in crime exploded during Prohibition. Everybody knows that, but you know what? Let's document everything we say to a neurotic new level here. So, crime explodes. The police before, who were just corrupt, running the gambling and the prostitution, now they could get huge profits off of alcohol. Now, the Christians figured out they'd been conned and manipulated into pushing for prohibition when the crime rate exploded and it became so cool to be drunk constantly. And speakeasies, there were more bars than ever. And the big alcohol producers just used it to shut down all their competition. And we went from thousands of breweries to just less than 10 after Prohibition, with all the regulations that came in. Within 1 year of Prohibition ending, they decriminalized speed variants, opiate variants, synthetic opiates, raw opiates, heroin, marijuana, and dozens of other drugs. And what'd the cops do? They're like, we got to have a business. And the mobsters that control the police, that's the Kennedys, that's the Jewish mob, the Italian mob, the WASP mob, the Bushes were all involved. I had family that was Dixie Mafia involved, running all the major liquor operations, large portions of it in Houston. Some of the most wealthy families in Austin ran the liquor for Al Capone as well. People like the Steiners. I mean, this is what goes on. This is how America ran during Prohibition. And when Prohibition ended, they said, we got to have something new. Cocaine, heroin, you name it. And then they had movies actually come out and show the drugs being used and show it being cool in the movies and the hippest thing. And then by it being illegal, low-level dealers could have nice houses, nice cars, prostitutes. It was seen as cool. And so everybody adopted it. So, yeah, there it is. The not-so-roaring 20s. New York Times, then it goes into the exploding crime rate right there. At first glance, if you blow that up, I can read it. It's New York Times, so who knows if it's true. The numbers do seem to support the conventional wisdom. According to census mortality statistics, the national homicide rate jumped 40% under Prohibition. After it was repealed in 1933, murder rates plummeted. It's only natural to concede that criminalizing the market for alcohol caused a huge increase in crime. And then they go on and whitewash it and go, let's just keep drugs illegal. Never mind those numbers. All right, I'm already digressing, and I've got just all this other news to cover. I haven't... See, here's my frustration. I've just given you part of what happened with Prohibition. I've only given you a small portion of the news and the information concerning that. I could go into, on record, British intelligence couldn't take over China, but China made one mistake. China, what, 300 years ago or so, you can look up the dates, right around 300 years ago, made opium illegal, punishable by death. Uh-oh, you did it. Giant black market. There'd always been opium addicts in China, with it coming in out of Afghanistan and Indochina. And within just a space of 70-plus years, they first took over the port towns and the police. the British intel did, and within 70 plus years, the entire country, they broke it in what? First 6 parts, then 9 parts, finally more than 12 parts, and they had the French zone, the U.S. zone, the Dutch zone, the German zone, the British controlled all the ports, and they ran the whole country and put warlords in charge and brought all the drugs in and addicted the country. And they went, wow, this works really good. And that was the impetus for, in the 30s, saying, let's do to Europe and to the United States what we did to China. We'll make it illegal. We'll corrupt the police. We'll take over the entire society. And what's it done? Last time I saw numbers, since the mid-1970s, by 2005, the last time I saw numbers from the Justice Department and the DEA, there's triple the cocaine use and triple the heroin use. And actually, I've seen numbers, the heroin's increased since the CIA got that really bumper crop. Now 92% of world heroin supply out of opium out of Afghanistan, and they got the troops growing that smack and bringing it in as fast as they can and having them on the news growing it, of course, because the slaves are busy watching football. And since the troops don't like growing the opium, we'll just put them on the news doing it, and then the troops are going to a psyop and think, well, it must be okay. We're on the news as heroes for growing the opium. And so we have giant prisons, 6 million in prison, biggest in the world, drug abuse skyrocketing, your daughters selling themselves to raise the money to pay the government and big banks for the heroin and the cocaine, while the schools put your kids on synthetic speed and Prozac, an hallucinogenic mind control drug.